Hello and welcome to FTW Philly, presented by Temple University. I'm your host, Marissa Magnata, joined as always by Rosemary Kelly. I'm going to call her Necra, and I'm going to call her out for calling me out on my Instagram sledding video last week. What was up with that?
I just like living vicariously through you, that's all. And when I saw that, I got so excited that I felt like we had to share it with everybody else too.
All right, I appreciate it. We all have to keep ourselves entertained during quarantine somehow. And that's why we have an action-packed show ready for you guys. We have some college kids that are changing the gaming world right here in Philadelphia. Plus, the ultimate guide for you to win your next Call of Duty Warzone game. But first, some esports news. Won't you kick it off for us?
Let's get it started. CSGO welcomes yet another tour stop to the city of Katowice for Intel Extreme Masters for this year. IEM Katowice 2021 will feature 3 stages of competition following a new 2-week schedule. Those stages are the play-ins, the group stage, and the playoffs. By this point, 16 of the qualified teams will have been whittled down to 8 teams to join the 8 invited teams for the main event. The group stage is set to conclude this weekend, with playoffs starting on February 26th with the quarterfinals. The defending champions Na'Vi are favored to win again, but certainly don't count out some of the other invited teams like Evil Geniuses, G2 Esports, and FaZe Clan. After quite a bit of success in the North America region and resounding community feedback, Riot is going to be changing the structure and format for the EU Valorant Champions Tour. This format change includes adding more best of 3s starting at the round of 128, which adds for a more robust schedule with much more forgiveness to competitors. Changes are set to have gone into effect for the qualifying phase that started on Tuesday, February 16th. I can only imagine that there will be more positive changes for the Valorant scene as competition continues and feedback is evolved upon. Next in news, I remember growing up watching G4, specifically Attack of the Show and X-Play. And what I'm super excited to tell you is that G4 and those favorite shows are coming back. And they're gonna be coming back with some familiar and new faces. G4 announced the return of Austin Creed, aka Xavier Woods, along with Kevin Pereira and Adam Sessler, but esports is getting some love too. Both Froskurant and Avali May, known for their time with League of Legends, were both brought on to share their passion for content creation and esports on G4 Esports and the f***ing esports show. The f***ing esports show is off to a great start, and I can't wait to see what other content G4 comes out with. Last but not least, in local news, the annual Harrisburg University PA Cup is coming back the weekend of February 27th. Harrisburg invites colleges and universities all across the state of Pennsylvania to compete in Overwatch and League of Legends. This sparks a larger conversation in esports about growing opportunities within academics for young people to participate in esports. There's so many different avenues to explore, from competing to managing and even doing what I do. The PA Cup is just one of several initiatives to invest in and expand esports at the collegiate level, as more schools develop programs, clubs, and scholarships to entice more student involvement. That's it for the esports headlines. Still to come, we've got Darth Mike bringing you all of the latest in gaming news in Field of View. And I want to know a little bit more about this new Valheim that everybody is talking about.
Welcome to Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I'm Darth Mike, coming to you live from the 10th realm of Valheim, and we've got a bunch of news to get through, so let's get into it before the trolls find us. Speaking of the lush realm that I find myself in, Valheim has continued its plunderous run through the gaming world, shooting to the top of the Steam charts and collecting some big trophies for the halls of its shield walls along the way. This next game is a massive one, as Valheim has overtaken GTA 5's all-time high concurrent player mark. That's over 361,000 players playing the game all at once. Now, it doesn't reflect all of GTA 5's player base, since of course many people play it on console, but it is an impressive number to hit nonetheless, and this game is just getting started. The iconic Kingdom Hearts franchise will be available on PC for the first time ever when it drops on the Epic Games Store on March 30th of this year. The beloved franchise boldly asked the question, what if Final Fantasy, but Disney, and captured the hearts of a generation as they adventured through multiple, increasingly confusingly numbered sequels in the role of Sora with his Disney companions. If you want to participate in this particular nostalgia trip though, it's gonna cost you, as the games clock in at $170 for the original franchise and an extra $60 for the rhythm game Melody of Memory that was released alongside them. That's right, $170 for remasters of nearly 2-decade-old games. This is a ridiculous price gouge, especially when you consider that we've had multiple brilliant remasters released lately with reasonable price points. This is absurd. If they really want to charge $170 for a trip back to our childhoods, they might as well just start selling time machines. Halo 3 is getting its first new multiplayer map since 2009, thanks to an update to the Master Chief Collection. It's dubbed Waterfall, and it comes from a very unlikely place, Halo Online, which was a brief game that only ever existed in closed beta in Russia before it was shuttered and filed away for all eternity. Fans have been clamoring for some of the unique maps and content that were in that game ever since, and we might be seeing one come over. Now, it's unclear yet if Waterfall is a direct port of one of those maps, as all we have to go on right now is a screenshot that tells us that it looks like an ice world and it looks like a Halo map. But if this is indeed a map dusted out of the archives and brought into the light, well, that would be one for the history books. A chunk of source code stolen from developer CD Projekt Red has reportedly sold in a deep web auction for up to $7 million. The code includes information about Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, and Gwent, and was stolen from the developer in a ransomware attack. When they refused to play ball and pay the ransom, the hackers decided to take to the dark web to recoup their costs, and they claimed that an interested third party paid them $7 million for the information and to not leak it to anyone else, but security experts agree this might be a face-saving measure after they couldn't get any money out of the devs. Whatever it is, this is a thrilling crime caper, and it wouldn't be at all out of place in a future Cyberpunk 2077 DLC. Well, that's it for this week on Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. Now, I've got to get going and reinforce the walls in my settlement, and does that sound like thunder to anyone else? Oh no!
Whoa, a new map after 10 years. I was not expecting that news to drop this week.
I wasn't expecting that either, especially because it has been 10 years since Halo 3 has had any significant developments like a new map. But that sounds like it's fantastic news for Halo fans everywhere. Speaking of games, and speaking of maps, and speaking of things that change a little bit more frequently, let's talk about Call of Duty Warzone, a free-to-play battle royale experience that is incredibly unique to maybe other battle royales that you've played. So in this upcoming segment, we're going to teach you what the game is about, how to play, and everything else you need to know.
Welcome to Warzone, Call of Duty's Battle Royale. Popular for its realistic and strategic playstyle, Warzone provides a Battle Royale experience that is more gritty and hardcore than your traditional BRs like Fortnite and Apex. In this video, we'll walk you through what you need to get started. Warzone is free to play, so you don't need to own a copy of Modern Warfare or Cold War to play it. It's available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. One cool feature of Warzone is that you can play cross-platform, which means if you have an Xbox and your friends have a PlayStation or PC, you can all play together. The first thing you're going to want to do before hopping into the game is set up a few custom loadouts for yourself specifically for Warzone. We'll dive into it later, but these custom loadouts will come in handy when you collect $10,000 in-game. Some weapons offer tactical advantages over others in this game mode. However, we recommend choosing a weapon loadout that you're most comfortable with. You can add attachments, as well as choose the type of grenade and tactical equipment that best suits your playstyle. Additionally, you can choose from a variety of perks which will help give you an edge while on the battlefield. For example, some perks allow you to see someone's footsteps, while others allow you to remain invisible on someone's radar. Now that your loadouts are chosen, let's get into the game. At first, you'll spawn into a pre-game area known as the lobby. This is where you and 149 other players will wait for the match to start. One of the unique qualities about Warzone's lobby is that getting kills in the lobby grants you points, which will help you level up your weapons as well as unlock more attachments. You can warm up by running around and eliminating the other players. Don't worry about dying in the lobby, because if you do, you'll respawn. Once the lobby is full, the match will begin. You'll be transported into a plane where yourself and the other 149 other players will cruise over the battlefield. While in the plane, it's a good idea to open up your map using the prompt on the screen to choose a location to land. There will also be a prompt labeled ping. This option will allow you to ping a location that yourself and your other teammates can see. Once you've chosen a spot to land, go ahead and jump. As soon as you leave the plane, you'll begin your dive toward the ground. As you near the ground, your parachute will open automatically, allowing you to have more precise control over where you want to land. If you want to get to the ground faster, simply hold forward on your controller or keyboard to speed up your descent. Once you're on the ground, the real game begins. The first thing you're going to want to do is grab some weapons. Throughout the map, you'll find various weapons, equipment, and gear littered around. Let's quickly cover the different weapon categories that you'll come across. First, we have assault rifles. ARs are formidable at close to medium range and do the most consistent damage across all areas of the body. Our go-to for ARs is the Growl, which is a great balance between bullet velocity and damage while having limited recoil. Next, we have submachine guns. These are extremely versatile and can be very useful in close-quarter combat with enemies, such as inside of buildings. We recommend the MAC-10 or MP5, which offer a good combination of damage, handling, and range. Careful though, because of their high rate of fire, SMGs often have a good deal of recoil. Let's move on to light machine guns, or LMGs. With their high rate of fire and damage range, LMGs are one of the most effective gun classes in Warzone. Although they're fairly slow at reloading and handling, they make up for it in their rate of fire and clip size. We recommend kitting every LMG in your custom loadouts with attachments that increase your handling. Our favorite LMG is the Stoner, which has nice damage and handling. Next, we have Marksman Rifles. These rifles offer single-shot semi-automatic gunplay. While these weapons can still pack a punch, their damage is hindered by the increased player health pools in Warzone, which make them fall flat when compared to the more powerful sniper rifles. Sniper rifles are some of the most commonly used weapons in Warzone. The long-range damage, combined with the various attachable scopes, allow for an extremely effective weapon. Due to the sheer size of Warzone's maps, these weapons are pretty much a sure bet. We recommend checking out the Kar 98K, which packs quite the punch at a quick fire rate. In Warzone, shotguns tend to be less dominant. Nonetheless, if you find yourself in the same building as an enemy, shotguns are a formidable foe. Their lack of range is easily trumped by their high damage output. Some shotguns offer a high rate of fire, where others require a pump action before each shot. So whichever you choose, be sure to keep that in mind. And finally, we have rocket launchers and pistols. These weapons aren't very effective in Warzone. However, since you'll likely encounter using them in certain situations, we still recommend practicing with them. All of these weapons throughout the map will be divided into tiers. The number of attachments the gun has will determine which tier the weapon falls under. The different tiers include gray, green, blue, purple, gold, and red. Gray has 0 attachments, green has 1, blue has 3, purple has 4, gold has 5, and red are custom player weapons. Gray, green, and blue items are most common. While you'll be able to find loot scattered around, one of the best places you'll find the better loot will be in loot crates. Loot crates have a unique sound about them, which lets you know when you're close to one. It sounds like this. There are a few different rarities of crates. The better the crate, the better the loot. Loot in each crate varies, and will likely be a combination of weapons, ammo, shield plates, and more. In addition to the loot, there are a handful of objectives littered throughout the map that you can execute with your team while moving from place to place. Some involve capturing points, while others involve hunting specific players. These objectives, once completed, give you good loot as well as chunks of money. You're going to want to gather up as much money as quickly as you can. Warzone has a currency system built into it that allows you to purchase airstrikes, munitions boxes, respawn eliminated teammates, and more. These items can be purchased at one of the many pay stations. In the beginning, we mentioned custom loadouts. This is another item that the payment stations offer. This is a supply crate that allows you access to your custom loadouts, giving you your very own equipment in-game. Let's quickly discuss armor. Each player will have a health bar and 3 armor slots. You can fill up the armor slots with armor plates that you find around the map. You'll want your armor filled as much as possible to add an extra layer of health. Here's a little tip. Headshot damage is boosted in Warzone, so aiming for the head will help you down a player much faster than body shots. Similar to most battle royales, all players will go into a down state before fully being eliminated. While in this down state, you will only be able to crawl until one of your teammates revives you or you get knocked out. What makes Warzone unique among the other battle royales is the Gulag. The Gulag is a second chance if you get eliminated. Down players will be sent to the Gulag, where you will be put in a 1v1 against another downed player. If you win, you get to respawn on the map and rejoin the fight for free. Losing will force your teammates to have to buy you back at a pay station. If your whole squad dies and you can no longer respawn into the game, your squad loses and you are out. Finally, the most common feature in Battle Royale modes is the circle. Warzone has a circle, also known as the safe zone. Over time, as the circle shrinks, the entire battlefield will become engulfed in a toxic gas, which will quickly kill you if you become trapped in it. You'll want to constantly monitor your map to ensure you're positioning yourself inside of the circle throughout the match. While all of this information may seem intimidating, it is important to know that Warzone's Battle Royale is still fairly new, and there are tons of new people hopping into the action for the first time on a daily basis. Like anything, practice will help you get better. If you find yourself dying over and over again, do not get discouraged. This is all part of the process. Now take what you've learned here, go out there and get some victories.
Okay, I'm really interested in this game now, but I have a question. If I don't have any friends to play with, can I just jump in and start a game with anyone?
Of course you can. In most online games that have some sort of online component, you can queue up by yourself, or what we call a solo queue, and just get put with other people. But don't worry, Marissa, you'll never have to play alone. I'll always play with you.
Oh, you're my best support. I appreciate that. And hey, talking about support, we're going to meet some students from Drexel University who work together to create new games, and they support each other in different ideas and different facets. We're going to learn about that next.
EGS, or Entrepreneurial Game Studio, was started in 2013, and I want to educate people to help them develop an entrepreneurial mindset, in particular my students at Drexel, and create a incubator for game startups. The big game industries are in LA, Texas, and other places and so on. So for my students to actually get experience to pull up at a game company, they have to go somewhere else. And I felt strongly that there should be a game industry in Philadelphia. My hope is that one of the game companies that we encourage then becomes the anchor company in Philadelphia. And that became the vision for EGS.
I can't tell you enough how much I've gotten out of the program. Going through the Entrepreneurial Game Studio system, I went into Drexel knowing that they had one of the top game design programs in terms of education, but there aren't that many game studios in Philadelphia, and so there aren't that many opportunities for local developers to work on actual productions.
The idea is that they would join in very early on, usually their freshman or sophomore year, and once they're in, they have 1 year to form a team, form a legal company, and then ship a product, in this case a game, within 1 year, with the hope that the students will make all the mistakes that they would as a new entrepreneur with me in the safety of Drexel before they graduate, so that they will have much better chance of succeeding once they graduate.
I always wanted to sort of make my own game company and develop games, and then when I got here I saw that they had mentorship, and then they also had this lab with computers and space with other people working. So I sort of was able to work on projects that actually had like commercial viability, as opposed to class where it was just a project that would be done in 10 weeks and then it kind of goes to the back burner. I think EGS especially pushing us to focus more on like the business and actually showing people the game and taking it to conventions. It makes it feel like a real product.
A normal day at EGS could be one of 10,000 different combinations. You have a ton of programmers working on things, you have a ton of artists working on things, and everyone's working on different projects at different times, at different phases of development. It's so cool, like having that collaborative environment that everyone's working together, even though we're working on different things. So we started Gossamer Games in 2014 when I was a sophomore here at Drexel University. We had joined the Entrepreneurial Game Studio and wanted to create kind of these abstract experimental video games. And so we found an awesome collection of people who were just interested in doing that and started working on our debut game, Soul.
Soul is a unique game in that it is trying to tell something really deep and personal through this sort of dreamlike world. It's unlike any game that I've seen in how it plays with light and your perception of the world and how it changes.
Chris is probably the most talented programmer that I know, that I've met. But not only is he a great programmer, but as a creative, I think we're very much on a similar wavelength.
The EGS was definitely probably where I learned most of my experience about programming for games.
Chris co-opted with Gossamer Games and is working with EGS on a number of projects. His senior design project, Resilience, was recognized at Games for Change as the best student game, as well as by the UNHCR.
Resilience is a game where you play as a refugee manager in a sci-fi setting to abstract the real-world issues into a sci-fi aesthetic. To see that Resilience is making an impact and actually being recognized by these national associations is really awesome. We wanted to put it out there for free and spread the word and sort of, attract people's interest and get people more familiar with refugees.
I never would have expected that I would be doing everything I'm doing now, running a business and signing contracts and talking with clients and negotiating and all these things are completely outside of the trajectory that I thought I'd be going as a general game designer. But now that I'm doing it, I'm loving it more than anything I could have dreamed of. And so much of that has just been because of the faith and the belief that Frank has put into me personally and to Gossamer Games.
In my heart of hearts, what I believe is this is a new model for education in the 21st century. Having the entrepreneurial mindset can only be a great benefit to you once you graduate.
The support that EGS has shown us over the entire lifetime of our company has been nothing short of incredible. And Frank has been our biggest cheerleader from day zero. And we can't thank him and everyone enough.
For people like Tom and Chris and others, it's hard to find something that you're that passionate about. And if they're able to find that passion early on, especially when they're in school, I feel like I've done my job as an educator.
Wow, how exciting to actually design a game and to hold it in your hand like a piece of artwork or music. Or have you ever designed any video games?
I haven't. It's been something that I've always been really interested in, but I've just never taken the time to actually explore it.
All right, well, challenges for next year. We can always sign up and maybe we'll take a class together.
Another thing to add to our long bucket list.
I love it. Let's keep it going. Well, for today, we all have to wrap up. But for Rosemary Kelly and the whole team behind FTW Philly, I'm your host, Marissa Magnata, and we'll see you next week.